We go back to the WNBA and the more trashing of Caitlin Clark.
Stop it! Please!
But not so much about Caitlin Clark.
What?
She's just the latest example, the most recent example of a nation that's afraid to take up an honest debate about race.
That is true!
I'm Jazz Berganzo on this. As I said before, this is a league that touts off about fighting racism.
See, now that's some bullshit.
But has no problem spewing it out.
Bingo!
Again.
I told you so. Just doesn't quite say it.
But it's what's next. What's up, everyone? Jazz Berganzo. What's next? Your daily dose. If you guys are feeling good today on this Friday, of course, going into the weekend, enjoy yourself. Be safe. Well, we go back to the WNBA, and I said in my opener, the more trashing of Caitlin Clark. But Caitlin Clark is the most recent example. She's symptomatic, in a way, of how this nation refuses to have an honest debate about race. We've seen Caitlin Clark get knocked over left, right, and center, but has nothing to do with race. It's all about her whiteness. Has nothing to do with how damn good she is, because of course she's better than anybody else in the league. But no, because she's white. For a league, again, like I said in my opener, for a league that touts fighting racisms, they have no problem spewing it out over and over and over again. But like I said, this is just the symptom, the latest one. And here we go. This comes out of Outkick. Caitlin Clark's drama is emblematic of a nation afraid to discuss race honestly. The most frequent asked question I received, of course, this was by Bobby Burack. The most frequent question asked for the past 2 weeks is about the conversation surrounding WNBA star Caitlin Clark. People question why we cover her so often, why the interest is so high, and why some WNBA player is now the topic on cable news. The answer, put simply, is that a story is bigger than WNBA, basketball, and sports. What's happening to Caitlin Clark is emblematic of how we discuss and treat racisms in America. Clark is a generational talent whose stardom is transcendent. According to recent estimates, she could raise the value of WNBA by more than $1 billion. $1 billion. She also is a straight white woman in a league which black and alphabet culture are at the core of the ethos. Unlike other straight white women in the league, Clark did not initially speak on code or tone for her whiteness. She wanted to use a popular phrase, stick to sports. Players and commentators resent her for that. They try to cope her with her stardom by dismissing it as a product of systematic racisms of the great white hopeism. The WNBA community has fallen on the same Marxism concept behind Black Lives Matter and a pro-Palestine movement. These groups are believers in the idea that success is the result of exploitation. Well said. In the case of WNBA, like Angel Reese, Dejani Carrington, Monica McNutt, China Okume, view Clark's popularity as a rejection of black women. In fact, ESPN columnist David Jennings Jr. in a now deleted tweet accused Caitlin Clark fans of rooting for her as a means of rooting against black women. Lies. However, believes in his dark destructive theory has successfully hijacked the conversation. According to the narrative, the black women are just trying to play basketball, but Clark's racist fans won't let them. In reality, the way black players have treated Clark has undermined the game on the court. Of course, that's Caitlin Clark. Like most conversations about race in America, the narrative often overpowers reality. Most people would rather self-censor the risk someone being labeled them as a racist or sellout for pointing the obvious. Take the past 2 weeks, for example. The WNBA launched another investigation into alleged racisms towards Angel Reese, who portrays herself as Clark's chief rival, but not really. All she does is grab me-bounds. Once again, the league found nothing. Angel Smollett, nice, struck again. Adding to the growing list of race hoaxes in the world of sports. Meanwhile, there are actual examples of racisms in WNBA. Days after Reese appeared to lie to reporters about the alleged racist chants, she shared a TikTok video mocking Clark as a little, quote, white girl afraid to catch the fade, with a photo of Reese trying to fight her. Last Thursday, Brittany Griner, of course, we all remember Brittany Griner, she was in the Russian gulags, she got caught with marijuana, but yeah, let's trade her for a Russian hitman called the Russian Madman, or I don't know, what is it, the Mad Russian, was he? Okay. Appeared to utter trash effing white girl from the bench of a game against the Fever. Outkick has asked the WNBA for comment on both incidents. Crickets. The WNBA community has made it clear baseless allegations of racism toward black players will be treated with the most sensitivity, while actual racism against Caitlin Clark will be ignored completely. Consider the after enduring a full season of racially charged harassment, Clark was the one who issued a faux acknowledgement of her white privilege after the season twice. In her mind, it was easier to apologize to the bullies and stand up for herself. Surely other white people in America can relate. In a normally functioning society, there would be such a contention about debate about topic. The treatment of Clark is wrong. The racial double standards are glaring. No honest person could dispute that. Yet here we are. Somehow the racists have crafted a narrative in which they are the victims, because of course they always are. But we shouldn't be surprised. The conversation about Black Lives Matter, DEI, CRT are no different. In each case, the allowed vicious minority successfully browbeat the rest of society into submission and silence. As a society, we cannot continue to function like that. We cannot let the truth subside in the face of fear. So we can finally have an honest talk about race. If so, some obvious statements should be made. Caitlin Clark's fans are not racist. The people angered at the success of white women are the racists. Clark doesn't have white privilege. If she did, she wouldn't have to keep apologizing for her skin color. More people hate Clark because of her skin color than love her for it. None of that should be hard to say, yet so few people are willing to say it. The discussion around Caitlin Clark underscores how we as a nation are still too afraid to discuss race honestly, and that has to change. It's bigger than basketball. Well said by Bobby Barak. My thoughts. Facts all day. We've seen Caitlin Clark get beat up over and over again. There was a montage I saw last night of someone put it together about how many times that Caitlin Clark got knocked to the ground, got hit the side of the head, beat up over and over again, and yet not one time, not once, did she rush in and throw hands. She walked away. She was the bigger person. But unlike those like Angel Reese and Brittany Griner, who continue to shout out false racisms and false outrage regarding Caitlin Clark, they're just jelly. They're just jealous of the fact that she has more talent than both of them put together, and most in that damn league. And everybody says, well, people were watching the WNBA before Caitlin Clark. Yeah, they were, a handful of lesbians and some simps. But the fact of the matter is that no one has put their eye on this league the way they've done now if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese goes, well, you know what? It's not just her. It's me too. But then a year later, when asked the same question, she said, next question, and moved on. What, don't want to face the facts that those are true? That's the league that Caitlin Clark is building or has built, whether you like it or not. For the last 25 years, the league has been struggling. Of course, the NBA has paid for it. Of course, the men's league has paid for, their bills. But we look at the last 2 years. Merch has gone through the roof. Tickets have gone through the roof. Attendance has gone through the roof. Attention has gone through the roof. But yet, instead of giving Caitlin Clark the credit that she deserves because of her skill, no, let's try to tear her down because she's white. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And the league knows it, but they don't have the balls to say it. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like it? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss a thing. Sorry, I'm fumbling there. But appreciate you guys watching the show as always. And we'll see you next time. Peace.